Breaking news in the NFL, the Sunday's Steelers-Bills game has been moved to Monday afternoon at 4:30 Eastern. New York Governor Kathy Hochul made the announcement a few minutes ago while addressing the severe weather set to hit the Empire State. Hochul said safety was her #1 priority, with the city of Buffalo expecting 2 to 3 inches of snow an hour. The city will also have a travel ban starting tonight through at least 6 a.m. Eastern on Sunday. This is a story that is developing, it is changing, and it is quite crazy. Quite crazy indeed. Let's bring in our guys, Will Brinson and Ryan Wilson. Honestly, guys, I'm sick of the football guys this week because we've had nothing but insane football news all week. Now it's capped off by a playoff game being moved, being postponed for weather, which feels like it's the right decision. Will, I want to go to you first on this one, just a reaction to the now postponed game happening on Monday between the Steelers and the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, people are going to yell about it being like soft. Oh, you're moving the football game. What are you doing? Look, the NFL doesn't move football games. The NFL plays football games. It goes forward with football games. It takes extreme circumstances for the NFL to shift a football game, particularly a playoff football game, because you're not talking about simply, 22 guys going out there and having to play at a different time. You're talking about we're broadcasting the game on CBS, Paramount Plus. There's all kinds of different things that go into it, from the front end, from the back end, from the NFL side of thing, from logistics, all of this stuff. 2 teams traveling. You're talking about hundreds of people. They don't want fans to be they don't want fans to risk the health and the safety of the fans. They don't want to risk the health and the safety of the teams. They're moving the game to Monday. It's going to be awesome. We're going to get a doubleheader on Monday. And I think that, look, if it's going to be that bad, then that's a good thing. If the NFL is willing to move a football game, then the weather is probably going to be that ugly.
Yeah, this is not about playing football. This is about people being able to get to the football game safely. And Governor Kathy Hochul of New York determined that that wasn't going to be possible. In fact, there's potentially a travel ban starting tonight, which would make travel impossible if you follow the travel ban, in which case you wouldn't be able to get to where you're going anyway. And Haley, you mentioned the whiteout conditions. That's very real. I'm in central New York, about 3 hours from Buffalo. We're going to miss the weather. I just checked my trusty weather app, and it'll be in the 20s, but we'll get very little in the way of precipitation. But I was driving to the Stanford studio earlier this week through the mountains downstate, and I went through some whiteout conditions for a moment. And let me tell you something, it got pretty white-knuckled on the old steering wheel there. So those conditions are real, and you don't see the ice sometimes under the snow. So just the process of getting from wherever you are to the stadium is riddled with such uncertainty and potential danger that it just made sense to move this back. We've seen games be moved because of hurricanes in recent years, and even a severe winter storm, caused the Buffalo Browns game to be moved to Detroit back in 2022. The Bills ended up playing back-to-back weeks in Detroit. But it has happened in recent years, mostly because of weather. We did have the COVID games that were canceled and postponed. But I think this is the safest bet, and as Brinson noted, now we get doubleheaders on back-to-back-to-back days for some playoff football.
Yeah, JJ noted the Bills game getting moved last year to Detroit because of weather, so it's not surprising, I guess, that this move is happening. I do want to ask about the Steelers, though. They now get an extra day, I guess, of what would be rest, with JJ telling us that they're planning on landing in Buffalo at 3 o'clock tomorrow. Will, you talked earlier just about these weather conditions, how they kind of favor Buffalo. Now that we have the extra day to sort of reset, do you still feel like the Bills are in a better situation with this travel postponement, or do the Steelers now kind of level that playing field with an extra day?
Yeah, I think I may have even misspoke earlier. I think Buffalo is just a much better team, especially with no TJ Watt. And the idea that this crazy weather stuff would sort of slow everything down and reduce the offense probably does give the advantage to Pittsburgh. You see the total has now jumped up from 33 to 38, 39 in some spots. I mean, that's an extra touchdown that they're expecting, an extra 6 points scored or field goals made. I think the lack of weather, and you're probably going to see the line creep back up to Bills -10, the lack of weather and the ability of the Bills offense to open up the passing game probably makes Buffalo, probably tilts the advantage significantly back to Buffalo.
Haley, I'll just say this. You do not want to give Mason Rudolph one extra day to prepare. It doesn't matter who the opponent is. So this is on the Bills. This is on Mother Nature for allowing the Steelers one more day to prepare with the Hall of Fame quarterback that no one knew existed until a couple weeks ago, Mason Rudolph. Look, the reality is that I think the better the weather, the more it favors the Bills, as Brinson noted. Josh Allen is going to have a few turnover-worthy plays. He may even have a few turnovers, but he's the reason that offense hums the way it does. You take the good with the bad. There's a lot of good. There's the occasional situational bad. The defense was beset by injuries for the first half to 3/4 of the season, and they're somehow playing out of their minds now, even though they're shorthanded at key positions. And I think even though without Gabe Davis, who's been sort of hit or miss, if you have those tight ends, and Dalton Kincaid's been a find as a rookie tight end, Dawson Knox has played at a high level, even though Steph Diggs hasn't been the Steph Diggs we're accustomed to seeing, he's getting his looks occasionally. All that taken together with all the injuries on the Steelers side of the ball, Minka Fitzpatrick, TJ Watt, and with Mason Rudolph perhaps starting this last game for the Steelers, it feels like a tough slog for Pittsburgh. I think the game maybe is closer than we expect early on, but without TJ Watt, I think this game has the potential late to get out of hand.
All right, before we get on to our updated game picks, I want to ask you guys about the other game happening in the frigid cold. The Chiefs-Dolphins game also has some severe weather as well. So I'm just curious your thoughts, and Will, I'll go to you first here. Your thoughts on this one being postponed, but the Dolphins and Chiefs still on schedule to play in those sub-zero temperatures tonight at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I mean, look, the NFL isn't moving the Buffalo Steelers game because it's cold. They're moving it because it's just unsafe to drive with the way that the snow, this lake effect snow, comes down so fast, so aggressively, just hammers it home. You can't see, and you know it's just not safe for like fans and people. The travel ban, right? I mean, they're telling people do not travel in this weather. Do not drive to the grocery store. Do not drive to the football game. And so asking all those people to travel is just putting unnecessarily putting them at risk from a health perspective and a safety perspective. And so it's not about the cold. It's about the snow and the weather and being able to drive in it. Like if this were just a really cold game, if this were negative 50 degrees, they'd still play it. Go out there and fire up the NFL films, get the hot cocoa going, or as Todd Furman pointed out, maybe pour a little brown liquor in that cup and keep warm.
Haley, I had this vision of Mike McDaniel getting an alert on his phone saying football game canceled, and him doing a little cheer and then reading further and saying, oh my God, it's not our game. How is this possible? So the Dolphins maybe had a brief glimpse of hope, and then they had the realization that they're not playing in Western New York, and they still have to go out there in Kansas City tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time and play against the Chiefs team where the temperature is going to be negative, whether it's Fahrenheit or Celsius. It is what it is, as Brinson notes. You're playing football. This is part of the deal. You got to go out there and suck it up. It's not going to be fun any way, shape, or form. And our buddy Pete Prisco has whinged about the weather being a concern, and I don't actually think he's wrong. I don't know if this was the intent of football when it was created to play in these sort of conditions. But here we are. You have obligations to uphold, both contractually with your team and with the networks. And so we're going to play a football game tonight, Haley, and it's going to be. I'm going to be cold watching it from the comfy confines of my couch.
I wonder if Mike McDaniel packed his shirt that says, I wish it was colder. I wonder if we get to see that one tonight on the Chiefs sidelines. You kind of mentioned it, Ryan, but I do want to reemphasize it here. The last instance of a playoff game being moved due to weather was the 2016 divisional round between your Steelers and the Chiefs. That was moved just to a later time in the day. So it's not the first time, as we've kind of echoed here, but certainly has thrown a wrench in a lot of our plans this weekend. All right, guys, let's get to some game picks here. Will, I'll go to you first. What's your wager in this one?
I'll take the Bills minus 9.5 here. Now that the weather's cleared up a little bit, I was hoping somebody was going to flash an old line and we get a 33 or something. Take the over at 33. I think Buffalo's a much better team. You know, this Pittsburgh defense without TJ Watt, significantly lessened. I mean, take the wins, the 1 and 10 all you want, but you see the spike in points per game allowed. It's like an extra 7 points per game allowed, and then like almost 2 sacks less per game when TJ Watt isn't out there. He is that big of a difference maker, and I just think Buffalo. Despite the weather, they're hot right now. I think they stay hot, win this game pretty handily.
I think the Bills are going to win, Haley, but I think the Steelers cover. I think they're going to try to lean on the run game, which has found new life in recent weeks with Mason Rudolph. I think Mason Rudolph, unlike the other quarterbacks that have been playing for the Steelers, will throw jump balls to George Pickens, which makes sense when you think about it, and they'll have some opportunities there. And I think Josh Allen will have a few head-scratching sort of Josh Allen knucklehead plays that will keep the game close. I think the Steelers cover, but I think ultimately the Bills win that football game.
All right, so 2 for 2 on the Bills there. We will see how it unfolds at our new time, 4:30 Eastern, happening on CBS. Guys, thanks so much for jumping back on with us to talk about this crazy, crazy weekend in the NFL. Now, The NFL did put out a statement about this game being postponed to Monday at 4:30. It reads in part, quote, due to public safety concerns in light of the ongoing weather emergency in Western New York, Sunday's Steelers-Bills game has been rescheduled to Monday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern and will be televised by CBS. They go on to say the decision to move the game to Monday was made in consultation with New York Governor Kathy Hochul in the best interest of public safety. So a new time for this one, but same place. You can catch the game on CBS. You can also stream it on Paramount Plus. Don't forget about the pregame show, NFL Today, happening an hour before at 3:30 Eastern, again on CBS.